Hey guys, this is At Home, a video series where you can ask me all your burning questions about Hunt, Showdown, and other topics, and I tell you what I think. Part informed opinion, part conjecture. We're going to talk about lots of cool stuff in this episode, including a new ammo type, environmental destruction, and what it's like being a content creator, because everybody wants to know that. Be sure to subscribe to see all the future calls for your questions, and let's start with this first one. The first question got asked a lot, so I'm going to read one from Taylor Conklin, but thank you to all these names for the similar question. Since Rotjaw does electrical damage that saps your stamina, do you think they will add that as another status effect / debuff in the future? Stun bombs, Tesla guns, electrical bullets, etc. So, for a little context very quickly, Rotjaw has this area of effect attack which, looks a lot like electricity, and I've actually talked about adding electricity to the game multiple times, even in this series of videos. The reason I think it's worth a revisit is because we've actually seen this effect with Rotjaw that looks like electricity, kind of. I mean, the sound design is there, the visuals are there, and the more I think about it, the more ideas come to mind, and I'll tell you a few of them. I should also point out David Fifield has said specifically that Crytek doesn't want a steampunk Hunt Showdown, and I think electric weapons might skew toward that theme. Also, the electric looking effect isn't actually electricity, I'm pretty sure. I think it's supposed to be corrupt energy, similar to the lightning effect when you banish a boss, or the lightning that marks the bounty carrier in Darksight. But electricity sounds fun, and I think there's room for it, so let's talk about why. Okay, all the other ammo types have interesting interactions with hunters and the environment. Fire can detonate barrels or burn off health bars. It also creates a necessity for choke bombs. Poison can prevent healing and attract meatheads. Dum-dum ammo and other rending damage weapons are probably the easiest to deal with, but there are so many things that can make you bleed. It adds a lot of variety to the combat. Bear traps, concertina, etc. There's a lot more. Now, add electricity to the mix and I can imagine so many different interactions. The obvious one is generators used to power electric traps or charge electric weapons. I've been playing a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the electrified exits in the game create interesting gameplay interactions. Let me know if you want to see a video on that game. Anyway, we all know metal is highly conductive, and just think of how you could apply it to Hunt. Perhaps a deployable electric trap that could make the bear trap do a bit more damage or drain a victim's stamina. You could electrify the drop gates at the entrances of compounds. You could also combine it with concertina. There's so many options, and I'm just going to say something, and you have to promise not to be mad. Okay, you promise. The concept of defibrillation was demonstrated in 1899. I'm just saying, you want to expand the game, add more interesting interactions, carry Hunt for another 5 years. Electricity is untapped potential. Electric shots that can maybe arc on multiple targets, but with a little less damage could be interesting. Most importantly, whatever the electric weapons could be, they would probably need to be on the bulky, cumbersome side, so maybe in the same class as the bomb lance or the nitro. So, will we see electricity in the game? Probably not anytime soon, but distantly, I could see it as a possibility. The next question comes from I hate X. What do you think about adding more variety to the AI? Examples could be zombie nurses that drop syringes and zombie prospectors that drop dynamite sticks. To start my answer for this question, am I the only one that's still bummed out you can't pick up the torches or the weapons dropped by grunts, like the pistol grunt and the torch grunts? Like, I understand they pose more risk around barrels, or they can give your location away, but also kind of what's the point? Hard to tell if we can't pick those pistols up because of shifting priorities for the dev team, or if that was just never the intent, but I do wish you could. So anyway, I see this discussion a lot. I'm all for new grunts. A nurse that drops a syringe could be cool, same for the prospector. The only concern I have about those is maybe they could make syringes and dynamite too prevalent. With the doctor grunt, you have to return to the drop medkit to heal, but if you find a syringe, you can take that with you and probably bail yourself out of a dire situation. Dynamite isn't overpowered on its own, but say you find 2 or 3 of these grunts, and you now have 3 dynamite sticks, which is much more effective than just 1. Seriously though, if you struggle to get kills with dynamite, bring 2. So how that affects the loot is one concern, and there are already so many resources you can find in the world. To be honest, I would be very surprised if we saw any new grunts before the drop of the next map, which is stated to have a new biome complete with new assets. We never did see the minor grunts on DeSalle make their way to Stillwater or Lawson. I'm guessing it's just more work than it's worth. So do I want new grunts? Sure, if they don't give everyone too many tools to survive a fight, but I also wouldn't expect any new grunts until the new map, and even then, maybe not. The next question comes from Ursulus. Do you think a more destructible environment would be a good addition? I know it would be a hell of a lot to program, but as a thought experiment, maybe like Rainbow Six Siege. I think about this too, and I like your idea, but I don't like the example. Rainbow Six Siege was built with that level of destruction in mind, small maps where you can make holes in walls and floors and ceilings. All of that is really cool, and it's one of the reasons Siege is one of my most played games on the Xbox. The destruction really appealed to me. But that being said, Hunt wasn't designed with destruction in mind at all. I mean, not really. Although there are other games which have what I'm going to call micro-destruction, small, deliberate, breakable objects that affect gameplay but don't necessarily graduate to a physics sandbox. Specifically, I'm thinking about the boards in Metro Last Light that you could fall through if you put too much weight on them. That could shake up the vertical gameplay in Hunt Showdown, some weak flooring sections or areas that you could break through on a roof. Maybe the scaffolding that is often used as a way to fix some pathing within compounds could also be weakened with explosive ammo. Another example is the breakable doors in Dead by Daylight that killers can use to create new pathways. To be fair, we already have that kind of with the barricaded doors that you can either unlock by shooting the bar or just break them down with an axe or something. I like that stuff, and it gives options in combat, and Hunt is a game about decisions and mistakes. However, I imagine adding destruction to 3 existing maps and then 1 new one would be a lot of work for not that much payoff really, and I just can't see Crytek doing it on a large scale. Would it be cool? Sure, but if it does happen, it would be on the very distant horizons, I think, and probably not until after the engine upgrade, if at all. Cool idea though, and maybe we can see more environmental stuff as we get closer to map 4. The next question comes from Overse. What do you think about Hunt getting too many weapons at one point in the future? Do you think it will hinder its quality or make it better? That's an interesting question. With every new update, players have come to expect new content, and in the case of Hunt Showdown, that often means new weapons or ammo types. But if Hunt Showdown has another 5 years in the tank, it stands to reason that eventually we will have, like, too many weapons. Is that a thing? I don't know. Let's say it's too many to balance effectively. There are still some unfilled niches and plenty of weapons that can still receive new variants, but it stands to reason that eventually we might reach a point where some weapons need to be vaulted or put in cold storage to keep them out of rotation for a season. Are we anywhere near that mark? No, I don't think so, but I do agree that it's worth considering. The interesting gray area is how does Crytek do that when people have paid money to acquire specific skins for specific weapons and variants. Anytime a weapon gets sent to the vault, all the people that love that weapon would be up in arms. Would I care if the uppercut got taken away for a few months? No. But a lot of people would. However, come for the bomb lance and I'd be protesting too. Personally, I think Crytek is doing a good job at finding niches for new weapons to fill, and even when there is an overlap, there's at least characteristic differences that give us the variety we seek. I think the worst aspect of Hunt balance currently is that the Hunt economy doesn't really mean that much, so I'd love to see progress there first before we worry about vaulting weapons. The next question comes from Jeroni. What are your favorite and least favorite parts of doing a video / being a content creator? If you stopped doing content creation, what would you do? My favorite part about being a content creator is also my least favorite part. I like that I have this hobby that is also kind of a revenue source, which means that I can play my favorite game guilt-free. Maybe make some videos about the things I'm doing in game, and as is the case with this format of video, just talk about ideas and engage with other players and even drive discussion in some parts. That's cool to me and has never been lost on me that it's a fortunate position to be in. However, because it's kind of a job, it also has the drawbacks of a job. Sometimes playing Hunt feels like working rather than relaxing. Sometimes I don't have any creativity flowing, and making a video feels like bloodletting. I've discovered I'm prone to burnout, and I think it's because my hobby to unwind is now also my job. I mean, I also have a normal, like 9 to 5, 40-hour a week, but this hobby contributes to it as well. I have a lot of thoughts on content creation, probably too long for this answer, but I will say I've never committed to it fully. I guess you could say I have permanent reservations about it, caring about video performance, having constant, let's say, feedback weird cycles of crunch and grind. I've often said to my girlfriend that being a content creator made me a worse person, in part because it's all consuming. Running a channel or streaming all the time, you put a lot of yourself into it and you don't have time to like read a book or travel or see family or just like do nothing. If you're not careful, you can be hollowed out after a few years, and I look at the landscape of the top content creators that consistently pull headlines like, I don't know, Logan Paul or XQC or iShowSpeed, whatever name you think of, and it's just like, yeah, maybe this industry is a little empty. Maybe it does something to people that isn't really that great. But in a similar vein, there are people like John and Hank Green, Corridor Crew, Wintergarten, and they're using YouTube to drive their passion. But if I wasn't making videos, I'd probably still want a creative outlet. So I don't know, maybe I'd write a book or something. Now it's time for the fun rapid fire section where the questions are short and the answers are too. Sorry if that last one got too real, but let's hop into it. The first one comes from Jacob Kozelka. For a quick answer, would you like to see a ping icon for traps, like we do for ammo boxes, medkits, special ammo? It would be, in my opinion, better for team play when other players wouldn't have to spam ping on traps all the time to warn teammates. Yes, please. I like Crytek, but as a person that plays random trios, I'm a bit peeved how slow they've been to improve that experience. I don't want to debuff an MMR, I like playing against people and my rating, but please offer some parity in the communication. Why can't I just VoIP to my teammates? Why is the ping just 2 or 3 symbols? Give us more communication options, please. The next question comes from Aram Chuchu. What do you think about adding a loot vault to hunt? I'm not really sure what would be in the vault, but it could be an interesting sub-objective to fight over. Marauders tried this. The points of interest were these raid-style smaller sections of the map, and usually they had a high-value vault that you could get into. It makes some cool gameplay moments, but game loot like Marauders, The Cycle, Tarkov, it has never really appealed to me personally. I don't care how valuable these steel pipes are, or gunpowder, or whatever crafting material. So I don't know. I guess they could put money in it, but that seems kind of cheap. Weapons like the nitro, but that feels like a recipe for disaster. It's a cool idea. I don't think it works when bounty is the desired objective instead of lootable items, but there are the little arsenals around the map. You can find one in Wolf's Head Arsenal. So, you know, it's already there, kind of, but not really. The next question comes from Finter. I'm gonna say it's that. The best and worst boss in your opinion? I can kill the Butcher all day, so that one's probably the best one to me. The Assassin and the Spider are annoying without a stamina shot, so probably between those two for the worst. The next question comes from V71, the 7th Sector. With the new shooting range, do you think they will add more areas like this and allow us to up the number of people? Watching your video the other day doing PvP in that area was really fun, but I want more. I'm glad you enjoyed that video where I was playing with David Fifield in the shooting range. I don't think we'll see more sections of the shooting range, but maybe we'll get custom lobbies one day. It would be cool to do more videos like that. The last question comes from Chris McPhee. Given the 10-year plan span of life for Hunt, what is your production roadmap? Where do you see your channel in 5 years? And what else will Home be undertaking in life and profession? Small follow-up to my longer answer from earlier, I have no idea. If I'm still doing videos, hopefully I've started to include other games and topics into that. I wanted to make a Hunt channel, so I made one. I wanted to hit 50k subs, and I did. I wanted to be a Crytek partner, and I did that. Last goal on the roadmap is a creator's skin, and then maybe 100k subs, but I've kind of slowed down a little bit. So I'll figure it out, but I'm not sure. And that concludes this episode of At Home, but the discussion doesn't end there. Let me know your thoughts about today's questions. Do you want electric ammo? Would environmental destruction interest you? Do we need more grunts? Let me know down below, and until the next video, goodbye.